In the summer of 2022, I was a camp counselor. Specifically, my job was teaching the leatherworking merit badge. I want to highlight my experiences teaching this merit badge and talk about what they taught me, not only about teaching, but what they taught me about leadership. For many of us, the best way we learn is through flashcards, Quizlet, or as we're all very familiar with, cramming and more cramming. The art of leatherworking, when done correctly, is beautiful. The art of leatherworking is using stamps and carving to design different leather objects, such as belts, saddles, and boots. When we teach leatherworking at camp, on the first day, we talk about hand tools, the different devices we use to print into leather. On the first day, we usually cover about 8, but to make this simple, only talk about 2. The first tool, and these are all very complicated, must pay close attention. The first tool is the mallet. Kind of shaped like a hammer, and you use it to tap a stamp into the leather, right? Okay. The next tool is the stamp itself, a simple metal rod with some design on the end of it. One of the stamps we have them use is called a cedar. Now, it's called a cedar because the design it makes looks like a seed. So all you need to do is take the cedar, take the mallet, tap it into the leather, and it should go about half the thickness of the leather. When my class did it, I held up their leather project, and I could see a hole going straight through it. That was a failure. Now, if one student messes up, maybe they were distracted. That's okay. Maybe they were staring at the camp dog chasing a laser pointer. I don't know. It's understandable. Now, if half of the class mess up, it's on me. It's my failure. So, how do we fix this? What are the tools that an educator uses to teach? What are the skills that a leader cultivates in order to lead better? How do I be a better leader? First, the first thing, the first skill, the first trait you need, I already had, and that was patience. I'm generally a very patient person. I can spend 45 minutes or an hour with one student on one specific task, and it doesn't bother me. I love that stuff. So, building on the one skill I had, it was time to get to work. After patience, the next most important thing you need is trust. Students need to trust you. Are you going to follow someone that you don't trust? No. So, I didn't need some massive introduction, but I just needed students to understand that I was a human being, not a given, and that I had similar interests as them. So, a simple introduction of who I am, and that I also shared a love of camp worked great. I now had their trust, and they were ready to follow me. Now, they know me, but I didn't know them. So after trust, we need to have empathy. I needed to have empathy. All I saw was a bunch of 11 to 13-year-olds that couldn't sit still, and I didn't see anything past that. Looking back and thinking about their situation, these were kids experiencing the most freedom they've ever had in their lives. This is on summer break, in the forest, away from their parents, with their friends. This is not a good combination. The odds are not in my favor right now. On any given day, they could have had a reasonable breakfast of pancakes and bacon, or 3 ice cream sandwiches and an iced coffee before 9 a.m. It wasn't going well. So I needed to adjust for this. I could have an opening activity to help them calm down, get into the right mindset, or even just remind them of what my expectations were. I need you to sit down for the time it takes for me to explain this and listen when I'm talking. Please. So, I know them, and they know me. Now, the last thing is a skill that I still struggle with, and that is the skill of asking for help, the skill of admitting defeat. Not easy. My takeaway from admitting defeat is, as soon as you think you know everything, You've just confirmed that you don't. So, being the least experienced person in my department and a first year, I asked my director, what do I do? And he gave me some of the best advice I could have been given. You need to word everything you say very specifically. You don't tell them to hit the tool, you tell them to tap it. You can say the same thing over and over. This reinforces what you're saying. You can have them write it down. You can demonstrate it to them. All of these different tactics for teaching. So when you take these tactics, meeting students where they're at, when you take having empathy for your students and understanding where they're coming from, and then you take them knowing who you are, them having trust in you, this creates a tailored approach to education, a tailored approach to leadership. And most importantly for me, some very successful projects. So, I won't always be at camp. This stage doesn't look quite like a forest. I won't always be teaching the leatherworking merit badge, and I won't always be in that context. But I often find myself in leadership and teaching situations. And whenever I go into those situations, I ask myself two questions. Do my students know who I am? And do I know who they are? And if I can't answer those two questions, then it doesn't matter where I'm leading them. Thank you.